Hey everybody, it's fully charged with another video. Sorry about the noise you may hear in the background. I currently have my fan on. But anyways, today I'm going to be talking about some of the options that worked for me and that I would recommend for you to get for your Android device for a virtual machine. Before we start, I just kind of want to give some new people an emphasis of why they might want a virtual machine. My parents have recently moved their shop to home. They don't use these, of course, and they don't have an extra phone. They just use their main phones as their work phones. Though, but let's say you're self-employed and you work at home, but you don't want to have a whole bunch of people and customers calling you on your main phone. And you don't want to have to use an old phone, whether it's Android may be too old or it's not activated anymore, or it's just too expensive or too tedious for you to buy another phone. So, here's alternatives. Of course, there's also people who want to tweak Android and test their apps and stuff, but I just like having extra phones on virtual machines. Now, one note, I would recommend having a smartphone that has 4 gigabytes of RAM or more and 128 gigabytes of storage, because these virtual machines will get big as you use them. They don't come with bloatware, but you gotta remember you're running a whole nother operating system on your phone. So if you don't have a lot of storage, this might not work properly, or they might RAM crash, which has happened on an older phone I have, which I will show later in the video. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's start with the first one, VMOS Pro. VMOS is VMOS, as some others call it. This used to be on the Google Play Store free for anyone to install. However, it was removed, and I don't know. It was just removed from the Play Store. I don't think... Oh, I'm losing my mind right now. Sorry. Anyway, I'm not exactly sure of why it was removed from the Play Store, but my best guess would be they could no longer connect to the servers of the Play Store, or that Google found something illegal or something. I don't know. And they took it down. Because they still updated it past that. I thought the last version was like 2.2.5 or something. I don't know. I have that last version from the Play Store on my old phone I have. But here is version... 2.3.2. This is not the latest version. I got a cracked version because the other versions were not Pro. And it doesn't... Now, here's another issue. Doesn't really matter what new version you get, as I know of so far. It's all in Japanese. And honestly, if you get anything higher than 2.2 something that you already have, then you're going to have to deal with this. Now, Android 9, I tried to get that to work, but it would not allow me to enable the Play Store, and I couldn't really get that many apps to work. Something I did like to see, and was, well, not exactly like, but interested, is that you can actually get Android 4.4 KitKat on this. Yeah, Android 4.4 is available. You also have your standard 5.1 Lollipop, and then your 7.1 Nougat, and then Android 9 Pie, which I do have installed on the top, but I don't have it as a virtual machine. I removed it. Now, here is my virtual machine. This is the standard Android 7.1 standard experience, but it's not as standard as it used to be on the old version. I used to have the old version of VMOS, but due to Android 12, it stopped working. You will have to install a custom keyboard, which is what I've done. This little simple keyboard app you can find on the Play Store. Now, if this is a local virtual machine, you can use your personal Google account. It's no problem. But to some other virtual machines I'll talk about later in the video, you don't want to do that, and I'll explain why later. Anyway, yeah. But sorry if my explanation is not great. I'm not a proper YouTuber. I'm just a kid with a phone on a YouTube. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah. This runs really well. My phone does have, I think 12 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes. I'm not exactly sure because I'm getting a little bit confused with RAM Plus and stuff. But you have your standard Android 7.1.1. If you drag down, you can easily just go. So, yeah, nothing new. It's just Android, your standard Android 12. Or, sorry, Android 7. Like normal, you can drag it around, but even if you lock it, if you tap on the top, you can still move it around. I actually did not know that until I accidentally did it myself when I tapped on it to open it. But the lock just means you can use it, so you can use it with other apps. I do have another virtual machine over there, but I only have these ones in the folder because these ones are local, which I'll explain that too later. Anyway, you have standard options. You have them here. Yeah, there's... sorry, hold on. My vision's not great, so I have to look at it. Okay, yeah. So, here on the bottom, you have your standard back, home, and multitasking buttons. And something I really... Okay, don't know what that was. Something I really enjoy... is that Android 7 actually supports split screen. I did some research, and if you look it up, it was the version that added split screen. So it's basically your standard split screen. Oh my god, that's not how you do it. I'm stupid. So if I drag an app on top and go to the Play Store, for example, it works just like that. Yeah, not much else for me to say there. But it is a good virtual machine. VMOS, the older version, is especially great. It's a lot more stable. If you have an older device, it is still possible to run VMOS. Not on a 32-bit device, but on a device with 64-bit, but less than 4 gigabytes. There's another virtual machine, which is local, but I don't have installed for a reason I will also explain. This video is just a cluster. I did get an old version of Lobby. It's like a social app I like to be on with my friends and stuff. But the newest version sucks. But this is not a video about Lobby, it's about virtual phones. So yeah, we'll just keep that open. Next is VPhone Gaga. Now, oh boy. Yeah, there's not too much problem with it, except, of course, for the ads. You can get premium, which I tried to get a cracked version on my phone, but since I already downloaded this version only a week before starting to get annoyed with the ads and wanting Android 10, which, yes, this virtual machine, indeed, it supports Android 10. What was that? Why did it load a Google picture onto... Okay. Oh, it's lagging a little bit. I wonder why. Maybe it's because I have another virtual machine in the background. But I like this background. If you tap on it, worms come out, but it's not working because it's lagging. Okay, hold on. Alright. Okay, sorry about that. I had to fix that. It was lagging a lot. Okay, so anyway... VPhone Gaga gives you a set of apps down here. Facebook, I don't have installed. YouTube, which I did end up deciding to install. But something I found out is that I was actually able to install VPhone Gaga onto my Kindle Fire, which I made a video on this channel yesterday with that, which is nice. Because it gives me Android 7 for free. And it doesn't slow down my processing power. In fact, it makes it a little bit faster, which is so weird because I'm running another operating system on top of one. So, yeah, I had to download a 32-bit version, obviously, because somebody modified it and I could run it on old stuff. Nice. I can run an app that gives you version 7 of Android on a device that only has version 5 Lollipop. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, really not that much. It's, again, Android 7.1.2, maybe. The camera works and all this stuff. It's a bit slow. The 64-bit for newer smartphones, especially for Android 12, which it doesn't matter if you're on Android 12 or not. Even if I don't have VMOS open in the background, sometimes I have issues with vPhone Gaga, either like freezing for a moment or lagging. vPhone Gaga is also one of the more expensive types, and not in money, because it's free, but you can get a pro version and get Android 10, which I can't do because I have a lot of data on this phone. Somebody dared me to make like 200 Google accounts, and well, I did. Actually, I'm not going to show you that, though, because it shows all the emails. But nonetheless, I have a lot of stuff on this phone, virtual phone, and I'm just not really feeling like having to set all that up again if I delete it. So, yeah. Now, I'm actually going to close both of these so we get maximum performance. Or not. I have to actually open this. Hold on. Power off. Power off. Yep. There we go. Close those. Okay, and that brings us to the next one. Twowel. I already have it open, but let me show you the starting thing. This is normal. If you see that, that is normal. It told me to do something. It told me to go to my developer settings. But again, it's another Japanese app from China, so you can't really read it. So I was like, what do I do? And I don't know where to go in the developer settings because this guy was doing it on a Google Pixel, maybe? I don't know. But here's your simple settings. I wish there was a display setting because if I drag up from the bottom, it brings up my home buttons, and it's really annoying. Twowel also does not have an option to enable Google Play Store, so you can't really do much. You're going to have to import your own apps, and I just don't think that's great. I just don't think that's good. It's a little messy and tedious. But there is one advantage. Unlike other machines, with this, you have, if I can get to it, you have Android 8. Twowel has Android 8.1 Oreo on it, which is interesting to say, or no, not say, but see. The display is not great. It sets it to 240 DPI by default, which, if we scroll down here, we can actually change that. But I've deleted it once because Twowel was just too much, and I couldn't get Google Play Store to work because it kept crashing and would not let me install it. There you go. Oh, there we go. It's doing it again. Files, yeah. File manager. But this one, if you want a bloatware-free virtual phone, and if Google Play Store works for you, this will be a good phone, virtual phone, if you don't want bloatware. I believe this takes up around, yeah, this only takes up 1.60 gigabytes. Of course, it takes up another 80 megabytes because I actually did stuff with this. So, yeah. Now, let's get on to other virtual machines. Okay. So, these virtual machines, let me unlock this. There we go. So, the virtual machines on here, they're mostly the same except for another one, which I actually have on this tablet right now. Virtual Android is another virtual machine, except this one does not need 64-bit devices to run. However, Virtual Android, for what I know, I have not installed it on my phone to actually try it yet, because I know they've updated it now, after they took it down off the store, and I'm not here to explain all that. But anyway, Virtual Machine, oh my god, I suck. Virtual Android, it does not need a 64 or 32-bit device, or no, oh my god, my brain, sorry, anyway. But you can have a 64 or 32-bit device, which is amazing, because my LG Tribute S676L, I'm not exactly sure, but this only runs Android 6. I've also made note that these Kindles I have, they run Android 5, and I can actually get this on here. Virtual Android is available on versions as early as Android 5. But this phone only has 1.5 gigs of RAM, so when I was setting it up, it was a bit slow. I deleted some stuff off of the phone, the real phone itself, and it went a little bit faster. But note, do not run any of these virtual machines off an SD card. I know there's a way in developer settings where you can make it possible to put any app on an SD card. Another thing you're going to want to do when you're using these virtual machines is you're going to want to make sure the home buttons in the virtual machines are high enough where it doesn't trigger your real phone. That way you don't accidentally hit out of it. Another thing to note. But standard as usual, it has access to your camera and the microphone, but the camera probably won't work on this without crashing it. But the LG phone is not the best example. It is a small phone. Well, not really a small phone, but it's just an old phone from like 2012. But this is a Kindle Fire. This is not a Kindle Fire that runs Android 5, but rather Android 9. However, it is still running on a 32-bit processor. So, I was still able to get it on here. Let's start this up. I also made modifications to this one. So yeah, the virtual machine itself, the operating system, is a 64-bit, which is very neat. You're basically upgrading your, like, if you didn't use this as a virtual machine and actually use it as a phone, you could actually upgrade it. One downside, though. When I went on to Lobby as a voice chatting app, which I do have on this phone on Virtual Android, the microphone is like low pitch. Like, it doesn't work very well. And I know a friend on Lobby named Lucas, who is a moderator, and he tries to use it on his old Android phone. He has an old Samsung Galaxy S5 with Android 6, and he wanted to get on Lobby without using the browser version. And he got a virtual machine. The Galaxy S5 has enough power to run a virtual machine. It has like 2 gigabytes of RAM, maybe 2.5. But, again, same standard Android 7, pretty much the same as usual. Now, let's get on to this. So, right now, hold on. Yep. So, oh my god, if it'll work, there we go. So, here is VMOS. This is the old version. When you open it, it'll start pretty much right up. Of course, it will warn me about, you need more memory. This is my mom's old phone. She put a lot of junk on it, so it's like, yeah, it warns me. But when I restart it and then immediately open the app before it starts putting junk on it and starting bloatware apps and stuff, it will run fine. So yeah, VMOS, again, this is Android 7, you know, your classic. You got your regular settings. These are more simpler and whatnot, but the older version of VMOS is not in Japanese, so if you want a non-Japanese VMOS, then go to VMOS. Give me a moment. It's version 1.1.0. I thought it was Android 2, version 2, not Android 2. And then, of course, VPhone Gaga Premium. No. This will crash VMOS. It does that all the time when I open it. Bye-bye, VMOS. You're about to get killed by VPhone Gaga. Now, VPhone Gaga Pro. This, I have Android 10 on because this Samsung Galaxy S8 only runs Android 9. So again, if you have a 64-bit phone... I have a horrible background on this. But, this is Android 10. And, yeah, there's a ripoff of SML. Anyway, but it's an Android 10 experience this time, instead of Android, something like Android 8 or 7. So, if you want a virtual phone that can actually run new apps and, new stuff that requires Android 9 or Android 10, you can use this. But you will need VPhone Gaga Pro. There is cracked versions, and this is, of course, a cracked version. And this is actually almost exactly like the Google Pixel I used to have, which sucked. I also have a Motorola G Play 2022 somewhere. Don't know where it went. Anyway, though, yeah, this is a great example. I think VMOS is still actually running. Oh my god, it is. Wow. Oh, it crashed my other apps though. But yeah, you get my point. Now, let's move back to the screen and look at another virtual machine. Now, here's another app which I've not used, but somebody else did. And this one is called, I'm using a random Google account for this. This one's called LD Cloud. This is sadly not a free service, and which is why I don't think it's the best for Worthy. But if you want a cloud virtual phone instead of one that takes up your storage and stuff, and you want to install this on a 32-bit phone or an old phone that runs Android 4.2 or something, then yeah, you can install this. But it's not good. Someone I know who used it for a bit said that it lags a little bit and much random stuff. But also, you're paying, how much is it? You're paying $25 a month for Android 10, which it's like 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage, but you can get that with VPhone Gaga, and that's less expensive. Something I do know. So, if you want an experience that's better than this, well, yeah. There are cheaper ones, but I just don't think this is worth it at all. You can get so many free versions online and stuff. So, yeah, please don't get this. Please don't buy something like this. This is not worth your money, and it's another one of those things where, oh, you forget to use it, and then they take your money from the monthly subscription, blah, 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 blah. Disgusting. So we're just going to go ahead and delete it. Bye. Another thing. Do not use your Google account. Do not use your main Google account for cloud Android phones. Android phones that are on the cloud, I don't recommend you using your real Google account. I'm going to delete this as well. It sucks. So really the only two apps that work for me, and maybe virtual Android as well, which we actually will go ahead and download that. We're going to test it. But anyway, while I kind of... Oh, here's another one. This also needs a subscription. Stupid. Anyway, though. Another problem. Virtual phones with Google accounts as well. Oh, I need to download that. Okay, well, that's going to take a while. But while we sit on this screen, virtual machines are not the nicest when it comes with when it comes with actually using it for something else. And I hope there's more virtual machines. I know there's other ones like F1VM, but F1VM sucks. Along with V8 Box. V8 Box is absolute garbage. It runs Android 5. You cannot really run any new games on there or new apps, which is not great. I mean, it's amazing if you want to play games, but there's no point in doing that because most of the time you're downloading this on a device that has Android 8 or above, because you need Android 8 to install V8 Box, for what I know, which is ridiculous. And then there's also X8 Sandbox. For me, it did not work very well. It was quite glitchy, and it was a lot like F1VM. You need subscriptions for everything. It's stupid and ridiculous. I just don't think it's worth it. I'd definitely recommend going for vPhone Gaga if you want an Android 10 experience. vPhone Gaga also allows you to clone its own VM, which VMOS does allow you to do now, but didn't before. But with with vPhone Gaga Android 10, I think you can only have one of each. One of Android 10 and one of Android 7, which is sad. But yeah, so I hope this video helps people find a virtual machine. There is another virtual machine by APK Clone or something, where there's a virtual machine you can use online, but that sucks even more. It's horrible. It's super laggy. It doesn't matter how good of internet you have, it's unstable because it's online. It doesn't have proper server support. But anyways, but I hope this video was helpful for those who want a virtual machine for maybe, I don't know, gaming on a virtual phone or maybe for work. But yeah, that's kind of it for me, and I'll see you guys later.